Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today we're taking a super high energy dive into the incredible culinary versatility of, well, one of the most underrated ingredients sitting in your pantry right now. We're talking about the humble bean. If you've ever found yourself just staring at a bag of dried beans or a stack of canned staples, kind of wondering how to turn them into an exciting weeknight dinner, you are definitely in the right place. We're going to see exactly how simple, totally budget-friendly pantry staples can be transformed into a complete, high-protein, weekly family meal plan. So you might be wondering, just how versatile is the humble bean, really? It's a fair question. Most of us view beans as a basic, boring side dish or a simple afterthought. But today, we're going to completely flip that understanding. By looking directly at our source recipes, we'll see how beans actually serve as the ultimate foundation for vibrant plant-based meals. Plus, we'll talk about how you can organize your shopping lists and your weekly schedule to make meal prep an absolute breeze. Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is our culinary roadmap for today. Number 1, mastering basic bean prep. 2, zesty and fresh bean salads. 3, hearty bakes and casseroles. 4, protein pairings and mains. And finally, 5, creative culinary twists. All right, section 1, mastering basic bean prep. Let's start with a classic pot-style technique from our sources that works beautifully for pinto, pink, or black beans. First things first, you always want to rinse your dried beans and toss out any impurities. Then cover them with hot water in a pot, add a bit of lard and some roughly sliced white onion, and bring it to a boil. After that, you'll reduce the heat and let them gently simmer for about 2.5 to 3 hours. Now, here is where it gets interesting. The source actually has a really specific herb recommendation. If you're cooking black beans, you'll want to add 2 large sprigs of epazote during the final 30 minutes of simmering, right along with your salt. This is such a brilliant way to prep a huge batch of beans for the week. Just remember to let them cool completely in their cooking liquid before storing them in airtight containers in the fridge. That's the secret to maintaining maximum freshness. Now pay close attention because our source text is incredibly strict about one specific rule: never stir while simmering. I mean it. If you want perfectly tender pot-style beans without breaking them apart into some mushy soup, you have to keep the lid on, let them gently bubble away, and completely resist the urge to stir. Let's look at another foundational method that's going to totally open up your meal prep options. If you're juggling a crazy busy schedule, this alternate slow cook method is an absolute lifesaver. You start by soaking pink beans overnight. Easy enough, right? Then you just toss them into a crock pot with crushed garlic, chopped onion, chili powder, and salt. You let that cook on low for an incredible 15 to 20 hours. Once they are beautifully soft, you reserve a little bit of the liquid from the top, mash the beans, and mix in salsa and chopped green Ortega chilies. This creates this rich, flavorful base that's basically designed for hearty, kid-friendly burritos. It is the perfect no-stress Tuesday night meal for your weekly schedule. Moving right along to section 2, zesty and fresh bean salads. Now, what's really interesting here is the sheer diversity of flavor profiles you can hit, simply by swapping out a few global spices. Think about how you can organize your shopping list around these. You just pull your inexpensive pantry staples, like beans, millet, and even sambuca, and then just grab some fresh produce, like cucumber, red pepper, and cherry tomatoes. Take the black bean and millet salad. It utilizes an earthy dressing of balsamic, lemon, cumin, and allspice. Then you have the Caribbean shrimp salad, which brings in celery and cherry tomatoes with this sweet, bright honey lemon zest dressing. And finally, get a load of this. The black-eyed bean salad utilizes red pepper, onion, and a wildly unique dressing mix of balsamic vinegar, lime juice, and sambuca liqueur. Seriously, sambuca. It just goes to show how wonderfully adaptable beans are to completely different international flavor profiles. You can really create stunning contrasts with minimal effort, which is exactly what we want for quick, plant-based lunches. For instance, a savory black bean and salsa salad blends drained canned beans and corn with celery, cilantro, red wine vinegar, and some pre-made salsa. Super easy. But if you want a twist, the black bean salad with oranges takes things in a completely sweet and bright citrus direction. You literally just toss cooked black beans with quartered oranges, finely chopped jalapeno, olive oil, fresh lemon juice, cumin, and coriander leaves. Both of these are incredibly fast to whip up on a busy schedule, relying mostly on pantry staples and just a handful of fresh produce items. Section 3, hearty bakes and casseroles. Just imagine the mouth-watering layers of this bean tortilla casserole. This is the ultimate comfort food. You start by pureeing cooked pinto beans with chilies, cumin, and some chicken bouillon until it is perfectly smooth and creamy. That puree essentially acts as the rich, flavorful binder for the entire casserole. Next, you spoon cooked chicken onto 8-inch flour tortillas, fold them up, arrange them on a baking sheet, and then completely cover them with that pinto bean mix, plus sour cream, scallions, and a good helping of Monterey Jack cheese. You bake it until it's bubbling and golden. It's a fantastic, simple meal option for families. It feels super indulgent, but actually relies heavily on really inexpensive ingredients. And speaking of feeding the whole family, this brilliantly illustrates how to prep a massive meal. The black bean polenta Nancy recipe requires some seriously heavy ratios. We're talking 2 cups of coarse cornmeal polenta cooked in 8 cups of water, layered with a whopping 4 cups of grated garlic jack cheese, 3 cups of scallions, fresh salsa, and dried black beans that you've prepared in advance. Our sources point out you can actually cook the beans 24 hours before making this recipe. Just store them properly in the fridge in their cooking liquid. It makes this entire bake perfect for simple batch cooking. Once it's all layered into a baking pan, this whole shebang yields enough to serve 8 people. Section 4. Protein pairings and mains. It turns out beans are total chameleons. They adapt perfectly to wildly different animal proteins. Take a look at the black bean and salmon appetizer. It combines rinsed canned black beans with flaked pink salmon, fresh lime juice, celery, cumin, and dried red pepper flakes. It's a delicate, kind of zesty mix that you chill and serve with oven-toasted corn tortilla triangles. Contrast that directly with a beef, black beans, and rice skillet. Here, you saute lean ground beef with garlic, onions, and bell pepper, and then simmer it all together with black beans, tomato sauce, prepared mustard, cayenne, and lemon juice. That one is a robust, deeply savory skillet dish served over warm rice. The bean completely transforms to fit the exact character of the dish. Now, if you want a truly unique addition to your weekend meal plan, we have the beans and eggs platter. You brown diced sausage links in some oil, then let them simmer for 20 minutes with your beans, chopped onions, ketchup, Worcestershire sauce, water, and seasonings. You scoop this rich, savory simmer onto a platter and serve it right alongside boiled eggs with some optional garnishes of sliced avocado and peeled orange. Talk about a hearty, incredibly high-protein, and satisfying start to the day. Finally, Section 5, Creative Culinary Twists. Okay, fun fact. Did you know tofu is actually bean curd? It basically makes it the ultimate plant-based canvas. This quick stir-fry method we found is absolutely brilliant for busy weeknights. First, you take a block of cubed tofu and marinate it for 15 minutes in a mix of reserved pineapple syrup, corn flour, dry sherry, and soy sauce. Because tofu is so porous, it acts exactly like a sponge, soaking up every drop of that sweet and savory marinade. You then stir-fry it in a hot cast iron wok until the liquid is entirely absorbed. To finish it off, you just toss in scallions, bean sprouts, and large chunks of pineapple. Serve it over rice, and you've got a fast, vibrant, and totally unexpected application of the bean. Going back to our traditional whole beans for a second, here's a fascinating technique from a classic black beans and rice recipe. So after cleaning and soaking the black beans in water for a full 24 hours, they're cooked with sautéed onions, green peppers, garlic, laurel leaves, which are just bay leaves, and a ham hock with the fat removed. But here's the crazy twist. The ham hock and the laurel leaves are used purely for deep flavor infusion. Once the beans are fully cooked, those ingredients are completely discarded before you even serve the beans over hot brown rice with a splash of vinegar. It's an old-school culinary trick, and it is a game-changer for maximizing savory depth. So what does this all mean for us? Well, mastering the bean essentially unlocks a massive spectrum of global flavors, and it makes organizing your weekly family meal plan incredibly easy. By separating your shopping list into those inexpensive pantry staples and just a few fresh produce items, and by really understanding the basics of soaking, storing for freshness, and swapping out spices, you can build a hugely diverse, budget-friendly, and high-protein diet for your household. Which leaves us with just one final question. From sambuca-infused fresh salads to rich, slow-cooked burritos, which recipe are you going to tackle for dinner tonight? Go ahead, get into your pantry, grab those beans, and start experimenting. Thanks so much for joining me on This Explainer, and happy cooking!